eating and giving. I'm going to be the lender and not the borrower. I'm going to be above and not beneath. I'm going to be the head and not the tail. In a few days, I'm going to be able to loan you something. And if you can't pay me off, it's going to be all right because I'm going to have more than enough. Somebody shout, glory! He said, I know your work. He said, I know what you're going through. He says, I know what you're dealing with. I know your work. I know you're going through. I know what you're dealing with. He's looking at me and he's looking out for me. My youngest son, Lakeem, is 17 now. I know I look 25. Some of us got it, some don't, okay? But he's 17. Well, on our first trip to Disney World, y'all know how crowded the parks are in Orlando. And so Lakeem always ran ahead. Sean, he ran ahead of the rest of us. And I would try to keep up with him. You know, I was Fat Trotter then. They said Fat Trotter, and Tinker them with talking about, I don't really like Fat Luther, Little Luther, whatever. I like it like it is. Lakeem would always run ahead of us, and so I always would run behind him. But at this particular day, I decided I wasn't going to run behind Lakeem. I just was going to watch him. So he runs off, and he gets into the Back to the Future display. I'm watching him from afar. He gets in front of the crowd, gets inside, it's dark, and then he realizes that we were not directly behind him. We were not in his view. So he yells to the top of his voice, wondering where his father is. He hollers, "Daddy!" And I didn't respond. I just kept on walking at my same pace. You know, it's hot in Florida. Yeah, I kept on walking. By now, he's crying. I did not respond. I kept moving in his direction. After a while, they started to display, and they pushed the panic button. By now, all the strange folks are around him. He realizes there ain't nobody there that he know. He's hollering. I sneak up behind him, and I hug him. And he said, "Daddy, why didn't you answer me when I called you?" I said, "I didn't have to answer you because I had my eyes on you." Y'all about to miss the revelation. There's some things you've asked God for and he has not answered, but he told me to tell you he's still looking out. I wish you'd shake somebody's hand like you're going to shake it off and say, "God's still looking out for me." That's what the Lord told me to tell sweet Holy Spirit. I don't know who I'm talking to today, but God said, "I'm still looking out for you." Even that, this is the part that make me shout. Even when we run ahead of God, even when we didn't walk like we're supposed to walk, I know it's been hard, but he never takes his eyes off of you. Just believe. Throw your hand up and say, "I still believe." Come here. Psalm 91 says, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my strength. My God, in him will I trust. Surely," somebody say, "surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from his noisome pestilence. He shall cover me with his feathers, and under his wings shall thou trust. His truth shall be my shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flieth by day, nor of the pestilence that waiteth at noonday, nor of the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it ain't gonna hurt you because God's looking at you." I got to close the lesson. You must worship for real. You must know that God is looking out for you. This is my shouting point. Nobody can shout on this point but me. You must have faith that there's a shut-off time on your tribulation. Help me preach. Tell your neighbor there's an expiration date on your trouble. It's got to expire. There's a shut-off time on your tribulation. Anybody in this crowded church ever had some tribulation? Text in Revelation chapter 2, and he's talking to the church of Smyrna. I'm not making up. He said, "Fear none of these things that thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast you into prison, that you may be tried, and you'll have tribulation 10 days or a certain number of days." The Bible says here, in all that Job was doing, he never charged God foolishly or blamed him. I came to make an apostolic prophetic announcement that this is the day of the termination of your tribulation. You're not taking those troubles into September. Somebody missed it right there. He says, fear nothing in those things that you have to suffer. But the message says, stay on God, fear nothing. The devil might throw you into a time of testing. It won't last forever. Don't quit, even if it costs your life. Stay in there believing. All God is saying to us, I'm closing, all God is saying to us in our tight fixes is, can you trust me in this? Ask your neighbor, say, I don't know what you're in, but can you trust God in this? The good news is that I still believe these past 2 years have been very difficult for me, particularly the past 16 months. I've been naked. I might as well stay out here. I've had the hardest times of my life. In less than 2 years, I've had 2 surgeries. The first surgery, my blood pressure had dropped to a level similar to a person that's comatose. The nurse said to the doctor that we're losing him. And I looked at her and said, you a lie. And she said, you're not supposed to hear me because you're supposed to be comatose. And I told her, the Bible said I shall live and not die. You just do what you do and let him do what he does. Somebody say tribulation. In my last surgery, it was supposed to be 3 hours, but I lay on the surgical table for 8 hours. Auntie Connie and them were all nervous. The second surgery, my platelets had collapsed. There was nothing to hold the blood, nothing to stop the blood. Somebody say tribulation. I had put up 2 pints of my own blood, but before I left there, I had to have 9 more pints of somebody else's blood to get my blood count up. Oh, you don't appreciate life till you face death. Somebody say tribulation. You must understand that a couple of years ago, I was the fella that paid my car note 2 to 3 months in advance. But under tribulation, I've been running 2-3 months behind. You don't think it happens to some of us? Somebody say tribulation. Give somebody a high five. Say, I know what that's like. In the last 16 months, I've taken 3 pay cuts. The presiding bishop had got behind in his bills. The pastor, the CEO of Utopia Music, got back. Tribulation. The devil tore up my family. Tribulation. I got my children, trying to raise them, still preach to y'all, still be a community leader, Marge, presiding bishop, now expungement officer, recording artist, and the list goes on and on. And somebody asked me, say, how do you do all that? I said, I'm dealing with tribulation. I live in a huge house that used to be filled and furnished in every room. All of a sudden, all the rooms were empty. I came in with tears in my eyes and said, tribulation. What do you do when the doctor says one of your children is about to commit suicide and another one's grades are dropping because of your stuff? Tell your neighbor, tribulation. And then the rumors started. It's one thing when they talk about you in church, but it's another thing when you hear your name in the barber shop and the beauty shop and you see your name on the internet. Tell your neighbor, say tribulation. Last July, church attendance dropped for a minute. We didn't have money to make budget. Had over 100 families, I guess by now, to have left the church. So Job's words became my word. Naked came I into the world, and naked I shall return. The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away. But I came with good news for you. Tell your neighbor, say, I can't leave you down there. I came with good news for you. And this may not mean a lot to y'all, but a couple of weeks into my new beginning, I'm beginning to see my tribulation terminated. And what happens at the head's got to happen at the body. This may not mean much to you, but a couple of weeks ago, I bought me a new dining room set. Y'all ain't hear me. And I paid for it. This may not mean much to you, but I got me a new washer and dryer front load, and I paid for it. This may not mean much to you, but my living room set came last week. This may not mean much to you, but my doctor said I don't need all those pills that I used to have to take. This may not mean much to you, but I've gained 10 pounds. This may not mean much to you, but last Sunday, 7:30, 9:30 were both filled, and 11:30 we almost had to put chairs out. Somebody said, what was happening? I wish you'd tell your neighbor, say, I'm getting ready to bounce back, because the God I serve said there's a termination on your tribulation. Who am I talking to in this house? I don't know about nobody that has worship, but I want all the worshipers to say, God, I still believe. I'm like Job. I trusted you when I was down and had to eat bologna and crackers and did not want to ask anybody in the church to buy me anything or help me with my car note. The God that I serve, he supplied all of my needs according to his riches and glory. And I got news for somebody. In a few more days, I'll be back on my feet. I wish you prophesy to somebody. Say, the Lord had you in this service today because in a few more days, you're going to be back on your feet. Just remind the devil what he's been doing to you, that there's a termination date on it. I still believe that God ain't going to let you suffer long. I still believe that God